Hello, how are you? Over time, many people start to feel that their bodies are working a little differently. Sometimes we struggle to lose weight and we may start to notice that our skin feels less firm and less vibrant. Our energy levels can drop, muscle recovery may become slower, and even the quality of our sleep doesn't seem quite as good as it used to be. Sometimes we think, oh, that's just age. It happens to everyone. Of course, this can happen, but there's a 100% natural amino acid that can really help with this process and at the very least prevent it from happening so quickly. I'm going to tell you what this amino acid is, how to add it safely, and all the benefits it can bring to your health. You're going to love it. Stick around until the end because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask if you've been feeling these issues related to premature aging or with your sleep. These health issues, even aesthetic ones, right? Tell me down below in the comments. Has this affected you or not? How old are you? Usually, do people guess your age? Do they think you look younger or even older than you actually are? How has it been for you? Write it for me in the comments. I'd love to see your comment. If you can, also take a moment now to like the video. This is super important to me because it shows YouTube that you support the channel. And it's also important for you because you'll be helping to teach YouTube to send you videos on the topics you like the most. This amino acid is one that is being studied more and more, and it's glycine. Glycine is a 100% natural supplement. It's very important because despite its size, it's the smallest amino acid in our body. It takes part in very essential processes like the formation of collagen. So we can clearly see a correlation with issues like premature aging and maintaining the vitality of the skin, as well as with the structure involved in creatine synthesis. We can also make that connection with muscle mass and muscle recovery, with liver detoxification, in other words, with the liver's own ability to cleanse itself, which we know is a real thing. Glycine helps to enhance this effect. It is also closely related to the functioning of mitochondria and the formation of glutathione, which is the main antioxidant in our body. Glutathione protects our cells from oxidative stress, which is also one of the pillars of premature aging and the onset or progression of chronic degenerative diseases. So, to form glutathione, we need 3 amino acids: cysteine, glutamate, and glycine. Therefore, when we have a low intake of glycine, we end up with poorer synthesis of glutathione. A very important point that researchers have discovered recently is that many people, especially those with insulin resistance, overweight, diabetes, and hepatic steatosis, that is fat in the liver, glycine and cysteine become limiting amino acids. In other words, even though the body produces glycine internally, it can't produce as much as the body needs. So it ends up becoming conditionally limiting. Also, there's a lot of evidence coming out about glycine and its connection to sleep, which is being studied more and more. Among all the benefits attributed to glycine, the one that has been studied the most is its impact on sleep. And studies show that people who consume 3 grams of glycine 30 to 60 minutes before going to bed fall asleep faster, have deeper and more restorative sleep, and experience fewer awakenings during the night. In other words, their sleep is less fragmented. As a result, you'll have improved energy and alertness the next day. That's because glycine acts on some specific effects in our body's physiology. Glycine mainly acts on the mechanism that regulates body temperature, right? In our body. It activates receptors in areas of the brain that are connected to the circadian rhythm. So this causes a peripheral vasodilation, which facilitates heat loss, and we know that our body needs a lower temperature to initiate sleep. When the core body temperature drops, the body understands it like this: it's time to relax, it's time to sleep. So glycine acts directly on that. The second thing is that it has a strong effect on wakefulness neurons. It reduces the activity of neurons that release orexin, which is a neurotransmitter that keeps the brain awake. In other words, with less orexin, it's easier for us to relax and fall asleep, and to have better quality sleep throughout the night. It also helps with muscle relaxation during the REM phase, which is the phase when we dream. The body needs partial muscle paralysis to prevent involuntary movements at bedtime, so you don't have those dream spasms that many people experience. And glycine helps modulate this response, which improves physical rest. So glycine is a very effective supplement for sleep. And when we improve our sleep, we can also enhance cellular recovery, we can boost our energy to exercise the next day, we can strengthen our immunity, we can reduce inflammation, we can improve our cardiovascular system, and we can make better food choices. So, improving your sleep is essential to prevent premature aging and to maintain good overall health. I have a playlist here on the channel with more very interesting tips about how to sleep better. I'll leave this playlist down below in the description for you. Glycine is also related to metabolism and inflammation, and recent research shows that people with obesity, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver, and insulin resistance have lower levels of glycine. And this happens because more glycine is needed to deal with this chronic inflammation, with oxidative stress, with that liver detox I mentioned to you earlier that happens, and with the altered metabolism. So, some studies indicate that supplementing with glycine can improve inflammatory markers, help with insulin sensitivity, and mitochondrial function. So, it's very interesting that these studies are increasingly being conducted and are promising regarding the role glycine may have in overall metabolic health, which also helps with aging. Glycine is generally safe, especially since it's an amino acid, right? Normally, there are no contraindications for people, unless you already have some chronic illness, right? If you are taking any medication or, for example, are pregnant or breastfeeding during a more delicate phase of life. In these specific cases, it's always worth talking to your doctor or your nutritionist. But as an amino acid, it's generally quite safe for the vast majority of people. What can happen is that it may cause mild sedation in some people, and very high doses can cause neurological discomfort. So, ideally, you should always stick to the dose of 3 grams per day and not exceed the recommended amount of glycine in this regard. It makes a lot of sense if you have very poor sleep, if you live under a lot of stress, if you have prediabetes, insulin resistance, or type 2 diabetes, if you already have hepatic steatosis, if you experience frequent fatigue, or if you want to enhance this antioxidant effect and support the natural production of glutathione, this powerful antioxidant in your body. Let me know down below if you already knew about glycine, if you got excited, or if you're now going to talk to a health professional who is up to date about adding glycine to your supplementation. I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, that's super important to me. Share this video with someone you know will enjoy it or with someone who needs it. Let's work together to expand this chain of good, and that's exactly what I want here on the channel. See you next time, bye.